Dr. Abiola Salami, who is a world-class performance strategist and the convener of the Peak Performing Woman of the Year.
I'll be speaking on inclusive leadership, fostering a supportive environment for women for a few minutes. Ever before March became a universally celebrated as Women's History Month, a woman wrote a letter to her husband. That woman's name is Abigail. And she wrote this letter to her husband on Sunday, the 31st of March, 1776. Her full name, Abigail Adam, and the husband's name was John Adam. The purpose of the letter was to compel John Adams and his colleagues in the Continental Congress to include women in the scheme of things, as America was in the crucible of fighting for independence from Great Britain. And let me read to you an excerpt from the letter this woman wrote to her husband. Quote, "I long to hear that you have declared an independency. And by the way, in the new code of laws, which I suppose it will be necessary for you to make, I desire you would remember the ladies and be more generous and favorable to them than your ancestors." End of quote. It took 144 years since Abigail's letter before even the United States of America got the 19th Amendment in 1920, which legally gave women the right to vote. It took courage and foresight to see that a society where universal suffrage wasn't allowed was stunted in its development. She imagined that the land of the free and the home of the brave will be the leading light and the beacon of hope around the world. And it will model the inclusion of every demography in what will be described as representative democracy. In my opinion, inspiring inclusion is giving everyone, regardless of race, religion, age, ethnicity, socioeconomic background, or, for our conversation, gender. It's about giving everybody the opportunity to thrive by removing every barrier that may limit them from becoming the very best in their chosen field. If we want to inspire inclusion for women, we must deepen inclusive leadership and foster a supportive environment for women. If we really want to fix the problem of gender inequality, there are three things we must give immediate attention. One, we must engage in ongoing cultural reorientation. Two, we must promote inclusive laws. And three, we must invest in women and women-related causes. And I take these three one after the other. The first one that says we must engage in cultural reorientation. Working as a performance strategist over the past 12 years, I find that culture is the biggest hindrance to growth in organizations, in families, and even in communities. No wonder Peter Drucker said culture eats strategy for breakfast. I believe that no organization or community can grow beyond its culture, which is why I've dedicated my time and work to accelerating a culture of peak performance in organizations. Culturally, many people, institutions, and countries discriminate against women because they don't know any better. The culture of a people is whatever is generally accepted and agreed to as what they are supposed to do at any given time. Therefore, if it is normal in any community for women to take the back seat in terms of leadership, chances are the exclusion culture will perpetuate itself. People behave according to their beliefs. So to change how people act, there must necessarily be a change in what they believe. That's where those of us who know better should come in and educate people to do better. A new education and advocacy about inclusion should be the gospel that we preach with every opportunity we are given. This enlightenment will not magically be imbibed by everyone, but it must be relentless and compelling such that even the most incorrigible culprits will reconsider their stance. There is a Greek word known as metanoia. It loosely means the ability to change one's mind or to repent as is more commonly desired. However, change is a very complicated business. People are mostly set in their ways concerning fundamental issues, and the role of women in leadership is one of these issues. However, it takes a level of emotional intelligence to find out what the fears of people that are restricting change are. What are their fears? What are their aspirations? What are their challenges? Because these are the underpinning that mass human behavior stems from. People will always fight what they don't understand. They will always fight what they fear, and they will always fight what they cannot control. Truth is, many men are not secure in their masculinity, and a woman being in leadership is a reminder of their threat to their existence. In her book, We Should All Be Feminists, that was published on the 29th of July 2014, a talented Nigerian author, Chimamanda Adichie, argues that there must be a change to the beliefs that provide a binary worldview on men and women in terms of social roles. She encouraged men to engage in conversations about women's rights and participation so that in better understanding the stereotypes surrounding a topic like feminism, the successes of women can be normalized and men will be secured in their own identity without aiding and abetting the social injustice of excluding women from leadership. This orientation also applies to women, just as it does to men. Chimamanda rebukes those who condition women to feel inferior and those who condition men to feel superior. In her words, I quote, "We teach girls to shrink themselves, to make themselves smaller. We say to girls, you can have ambition, but not too much. You should aim to be successful, but not too successful. Otherwise, you'll be a threat to a man." And ladies, I submit to you today that any man that feels threatened by your success is the last kind of man you should be around. So ladies and gentlemen, this thinking must change, this attitude must change, and the culture must change. So that is the first point on cultural orientation. The second point is about promoting inclusive laws. There's a quote I read some time ago, that chickens don't vote for Christmas, neither do turkeys vote for Thanksgiving. This means that left to them, the people who benefit from exclusion don't have any strong incentive to offend the status quo, because that status quo empowers them. If we were to depend on morality to make women more inclusive in leadership, it would take maybe 500 years for it to happen. Because the sense of right or wrong is incredibly subjective, even in this post-truth era that we are in. Organizations and countries who are progressive in their thinking, they go beyond rhetoric. They go ahead to codify those things and write it down as laws. Talk is cheap. Agitation without a progressive action will only be a waste of energy. Likewise, any aspiration we have without a firm action will be senseless waste of emotions. So, agitations and aspirations must lead to affirmative actions that sue for gender equality and inclusion. So the very idea of representation is defeated without diversity. And such diversity doesn't always come organically, but through social-political engineering. Underserved communities and underrepresented demographics often need some legal standing to guarantee their inclusion, especially where they are in the minority, because majorities would love to have their way, leaving minorities to have their say. The concept of diversity is progressive because it is the recognition that merit trumps identity, whether it is racial identity, gender identity, religious identity, political identity, or ethnicity. Diversity recognizes merit. Nobody comes into the earth choosing their identity. So to be discriminated against because you're a woman is humane, it's inhumane, and this must stop. We must recognize that women are an integral part of our world, and many estimate that the male-female count worldwide is largely evenly spread. So why don't we have opportunities evenly spread as well? This means that to sideline women is to sideline half of the world's potential and possibilities. There is a Yoruba saying, that says, Agbajo owo la fi n sọ̀yà, àjèjì ọwọ́ kan ò gbẹ́rù dórí. Now, that can be translated into that if we want progress, all hands must be on deck. And these hands includes the hands of every woman in this room and every woman in the world. Nobody claps with one single hand. Nobody claps with a single hand. So to sideline women from leadership, from industry, from politics, from sports, from ministry or any other profession is to be clapping with one hand. Can I see anybody clap with one hand here? It's not possible. There's no sound. Can you clap with two hands? This is what we want in the world. This is what we want in the world. In Canada, there is a preferential treatment for certain groups in employment and education. These are codified in the Canadian Human Rights Act and the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedom. Employers in federally regulated industries are required to favor historically disadvantaged groups, which includes women. Yes, in 2022, a federal court in Nigeria ordered the Nigerian government to implement the national gender policy and that Nigeria should reserve 35% of public offices for women. Although the result from the 2023 elections shows an abysmal record of compliance with this principle. But it is good that we have something like that in place, but we now need to ensure that we fill more political seats with more women in this country. Ladies and gentlemen, we must seek more laws and follow implementation of these laws to make sure that we inspire inclusion. The last point is on investing in women and women-related causes. And let me take a moment to thank every organization and individual that supported this program we are doing today. Can you please help me put your hands together for this? We need more of this. We need more of this to happen. Talent is gender agnostic, but opportunities are not. There is a gender bias that comes with leadership in many fields that don't favor women. Taking certain traditional perspectives, for example, some parents don't even think it is a smart idea to invest heavily in the education of the girl child, because in their erroneous assumption, they will say the girl will end up in their husband's houses, change their last names, and will not be an insurance policy for old age. Even certain businesses frown at women occupying certain executive positions because they feel women are not the ultimate decision makers, and in the event of pregnancy, the woman's absence from the workplace owing to maternity leave could slow things down. That is untrue. In the midst of all of this, I am glad to see the current banking landscape where we have more female CEOs than ever before. That is 11 female CEOs. What a progress. Now, count with me. Say 1. Kafilat Arawe, MD CEO of Lotus Bank. Say 2. Ireti Samuel Ogu, CEO of Citibank Nigeria and Ghana. Say 3. Halima Buba, MD CEO SunTrust Bank Nigeria Limited. Say 4. Yetunde Oni, MD CEO Union Bank of Nigeria. Say 5. Bukola Smith, MD CEO FSDH Merchant Bank. Say 6. Tomi Shomefun, MD CEO Unity Bank PLC. Are we tired? No. Say 7. Yemisi Edno, MD CEO FCMB. Say 8. Nneka Onyali Ekwe, MD CEO Fidelity Bank. Say 9. Miriam Olusoya, MD CEO GT Bank Limited. Say 10. Bolaji Agbede, Acting CEO of Access Holdings. And say 11. And that's the latest addition last week or so. That is Adora Omeji, the GCEO designate of Zenith Bank PLC. I'm glad to see this. But there are more industries that need to embrace this. In the music industry, for example, many record label executives believe that female talents have a shorter shelf life than the male colleagues. In politics, most parties worldwide don't even think women are sellable candidates on the ticket. And at best, they will compensate the woman with a token. Deputy governor, deputy this, vice of this, or commissioner for women affairs. That should stop. Even in communities of faith, women leading the line are the exception. It's not the rule. You know, one would have hoped that a lady who was quite notable, with a notable pastor, would take the reins after her dad passed. But Many of us in this room, we know that the case is different. And the laundry list is endless. Correcting these anomalies requires the strategic deployment of resources to women who need opportunities to match their talent. Investing in women is not just about throwing money at women, but about amplifying their efforts and giving them a chance to compete favorably. This is one of the things we continue to do in the organization that I founded 12 years ago, CHAMP. And we do this through the Peak Performing Woman platform, where we dedicate resources to empower, spotlight, recognize, and celebrate women. And in this room today, one of our peak performing women is in this room. She did a fantastic job moderating the session earlier. Please help me appreciate Dr. Morris Atoki. Today, we will be investing our women empowerment tool, the Peak Performing Woman's Companion, in 10 women in this room. As well as our best-selling book, The Magic of Emotional Intelligence. 10 women will go with that in this room today. Giving business loans at 0 to single-digit interest rates are a great way to ensure that women-owned businesses and entrepreneurs access the required capital to engage the market. Educational grants and scholarships go a long way in fostering inclusion for women who are threatened by the prospects of early marriage as an alternative to furthering their schooling. Corporations can also invest in training their female staff on certifications and competencies that are typically beyond their pay grade. Our organization is seeking forward-thinking organizations to collaborate with on this one. The pharmaceutical giant Pfizer was awarded the 2018 Healthcare Business Women's Association's ACE Award in recognition of their commitment to gender diversity and leadership opportunities for women. Their internal Global Women's Network offered programs that were designed to enhance the capacity of female staff. This initiative included sponsorship and development programs, mentorship and professional support from higher-ups. Another organization, Telcom Capital, has been investing in African startups since 2017. It announced the first close of its Tide Africa Fund 2, which committed investing $2 million in female-led startups, raising a pre-seed round. We need more organizations to take this up. Women's History Month is more than an attempt to pander to the sentiments of women, but a genuine opportunity to mainstream the conversations around inclusion. This year, as we inspire inclusion, we must be careful to curate stories of women as examples of people who have moved the needle and those who champion the cause for underserved and underrepresented communities. There are thousands, if not millions, of women who are out there heralding positive change and making the world a better place, and we need to spotlight them. Out of sheer determination, most of these women have made it to the spotlight. But for everyone that does, there are many more unsung heroes we have in our country. It is therefore incumbent on every one of us to make the space more accommodating and supportive of women to live, to love, and to live. In conclusion, as I mentioned in my forthcoming Forbes article, every forward-thinking leader must do their best to remove every barrier that can limit a woman from growing to be the very best in whatever vocation they've chosen. And that is the real way to inspire inclusion. Thank you very much.